fun and explore all that Herb Hayes Furniture has to offer. Herb Hayes Furniture, where you always get the best selection, you always get the best furniture, and you always get the best prices. Always. Look for the big American flag, and you found Herb Hayes Furniture, Fort Campbell Boulevard, Hopkinsville.
Herb Hayes Furniture, always the best.
Good morning and welcome to Tiger Sports Talk with Gator and DT. We're live here in the studios of WPKY 103.3 FM. The fall sports season is winding down. Tonight is the final regular season home game for the Caldwell County Tigers. They take on the Trigg County Wildcats in a cross-county rival that goes back many, many years. I believe this will be the 64th meeting that Caldwell County and Trigg County has encountered over the years, and it's only very fitting that we have live in the studio with us this morning two outstanding guests, two guys that meant a lot to Trigg County, and we got Coach Jim Wallace and Coach George Radford here with us, and we want to welcome y'all to the show.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Always good to be in Princeton.
Well,
Don't tell that lie.
Coach Wallace, we were talking a little bit earlier. I remember back in the 70s, just an outstanding basketball coach here at Trigg County and winning the second region basketball tournament in 1970. And I remember watching you on TV. It was, I don't know what channel it was on, but they had the boys state tournament on. And I believe, was it Eddie Radford that was one of your outstanding players? And
He was.
and
Yes.
he had just an outstanding game. I remember the one that I watched. Talk a little bit about your 1970 second region champs.
Well, that was, for a school our size, and there hadn't been many out of the fifth district that win the region. I know Princeton Dotson won the region in '62, I believe, and then Caldwell won it in '63. So when that happened, I was in college and I had aspirations to coach. So I thought, well, if those folks can do it, Trigg County ought to be able to do it. So I came back and I was assistant at Trigg for 2 years under my high school coach, Duke Burnett, and then Duke decided to go back home to E-Town and get in the sporting goods business. So I kind of jumped from the cradle to the head coaching job. I was only 24 when I took over the head coaching job at Trigg in '60. That would have been '67. So
Well, you're only 44 now, so that hadn't,
right.
that hadn't been too long ago.
But I was fortunate to have some good players in those early years, and Trigg had some. I think the decade of the '70s, we had some very, very good teams, both football and basketball, and we were fortunate. '69 was really a good team, but we had some injuries that hit us in February of that year. We lost Greg Martin, our center, and Pete Holland, one of our outstanding scorers, and so I thought we had a shot that year. We'd beaten Hopkinsville during the year in '69, and they ended up winning the regional that year. So coming back, we got to play some younger kids, had a little depth, and we got to play some younger kids, and that made us tougher in '70 then. But yeah, Eddie Radford was our leading scorer on that team. Billy Alexander was our point guard, and that group really played well together. And we had some quickness. We didn't have much size, but we had some quickness, and we were able to work our way through the regional tournament, and we beat Hopkinsville that year in the finals, and they had that outstanding player, Bird Avery, you might remember that.
I remember Bird.
And went on and played in the NBA. Yeah.
He sure did.
So, yes, we were fortunate to get there and got a good draw. We drew away from Lexington and Louisville. Anytime you can go up there and draw away from those regions. And we were right out of the 15th in the first game, and then we beat Allen County out of the 4th in the second game. We ended up in the semifinals, and Richmond Madison beat us in the semifinals, and then Louisville Mayo beat them in the finals that year. But that was a great year, a lot of excitement. Then we kind of fell on hard times after that. You get to thinking that winning is easy after you have a year like that when everything falls in place for you. But we had some hard times, and then we came back and had some really good teams in the mid-'70s as well.
You go from the hunter to the hunted when you
Exactly.
have that success there. We know, after your coaching career, you went into administration, and you were the superintendent of Trigg County. How many years were you there? And
9 years, 91 to 2000. I was superintendent. And those, if you remember the 90s, and you all were in the business then, and we had all the reform going on and a lot of things happening, so they were challenging years from an administrative standpoint, yes. But my real love was teaching and coaching, and however, if you see people that are in leadership positions, and you get to thinking, well, I got something to offer in that area too, so I made some changes and was principal of middle school for 7 years, and then assistant superintendent for 3 years, and then superintendent for that, and ended my career in 2000. Yes.
That's the way it goes, though. You have so many good classroom teachers, and then you lose them because they want to move. They think they want to move up, and when they do move up, it's worth it on your money wise.
Yes.
But as far as being great teachers, you see them leave and you hate to see them leave.
Right.
But anyway, you stay in the system and you're part of it, and you know what you need to do to try to help kids, and that's the main thing. Anyway.
Amen. Yes.
One thing about it, coaching and education both, they're pretty tough, but they're also very rewarding. And I get sort of fired up around this Caldwell Trigg County rivalry because
add a little fuel to the flame there.
because Joe Kelly Jaggers hired me to be his assistant back in '73 at Trigg. That was my route coming back to Trigg after finishing up at Murray State University, and really enjoyed working with Joe Kelly. He was an outstanding offensive mind. Really worked on special teams. And
What about his brother?
Johnny Jaggers.
Was he on that staff too? I believe he was. Yeah.
Johnny was on the staff. As a matter of fact, I came in and took over after Johnny left.
Oh, okay.
That was the position that I took over. But Johnny and I have been good friends over the years. My wife, Agnes Wilson Radford, graduated with him, and they've stayed in touch, and so I get to see him a lot. Quite often. Plus, Wayne McGowan, my nephew, coaches, been on the coaching staff for quite some time.
Yes,
here at
he
Caldwell.
has. Yeah.
So we, bicker back and forth about the Caldwell-Trigg relationship. But looking at tonight, I'm trying to think if the Hurricane Matthew is going to come through here and cancel the game tonight, because according to the lit ratings,
It's supposed to get cooler, but I don't think any rain's in the forecast.
with the lit ratings showing that Caldwell's number 3 and Trigg 27.
In class, 3A it is now?
Yeah.
They're in Class 3A.
I just don't know how we can hold on.
You go back and talk about the rivalry between Trigg and Caldwell. Of course, I go back to 5th District.
Mm-hmm.
How many years that Caldwell, Trigg, Lyme,
Absolutely.
Livingston, and Crittenden competed against one another, and it just doesn't really have that feel. I was athletic director, I guess, at the high school when we went from the 5th to the 7th district now, or 6th district.
Yeah.
And we're in with Madisonville and Dawson Springs and Hopkins Central, and it just doesn't really have that feel, especially in basketball, and that it once did.
Yeah, and with the small schools like we were, we had athletes that were playing, all sports, everything, and like DT and Carol Boyd. I can remember him being just an outstanding athlete and everything. And what happened this morning, Jim and I were looking at my wife's book of Caldwell County's football history. Mm-hmm. And I think that's an outstanding book
really
that was done
is.
by
Todd did
Todd
a great
Griffin.
job
Todd
of
Griffin
that.
did
Todd
a great
is
job.
amazing. He did.
It was a super book, and it goes through and tell all that history. And I can remember it because I lived most of it, especially around 63 when Scott Edwards and Marvin Copeland and all those guys came over to Caldwell. That was an exciting time for Caldwell County sports during that time.
I mentioned it on the show. I can't remember when Todd was on.
Yes.
I mentioned it too.
Him and Philip.
That I looked through that book when I bought it from him, and some of the older guys, and I'm saying older now, they're older than me, but I had no idea they even played football, and they were very good.
Yeah.
And I think it would be good if everybody would look through that book. You know, like we have people that doing different jobs in town, and they come and tell you, you know, y'all did a good job the other night, and you're just wondering, well, why? And you know why? Because they were part of their program when they were there. You know, it was.
And you know, there's a lot of tradition in Trigg County as well, and that may be something that they need to look at putting a book together. You know, with all the time you two got now, maybe y'all can write that book.
Before we can't remember any of it. That's right.
Ty Griffin mentioned Scott Brown in his book,
Yes.
how they worked real closely together and getting this information. And I feel that one day Scott Brown will probably compile something very similar.
Coach Wallace, I just wanted to say a while ago when you mentioned all those names, they were right in my ballpark, Eddie and all that bunch. And I always thought Pete Holland, I always liked watching him. He was really kind of like what's the guy from LSU?
Maravich. Peter Maravich.
He could handle the ball.
Yeah.
He could shoot. And back in those times, you know, you didn't have a lot of people that were real showboatish or fancy, and he could do it.
He was smooth.
Yeah,
He could go behind his back, between his legs, and do all that. And I always enjoyed watching him play. But the other one that I wanted to just mention real quick, too, was Eddie. Yeah. Eddie, in my opinion, was probably the best athlete I was around for a long time. He could flat play anything. And when we played him up here our senior year in football, he was really pretty much, I shouldn't say pretty much, but all y'all had. Not all you had, but that's the only one we were worried about stopping.
Right.
Well, he gets 8 or 9 stitches in his head that first half, and we think Randy Durra and I was sitting there talking on the sideline. We said, we got these birds now. Well, here he comes back the second half and plays.
Yes.
I'm thinking,
Eddie was a great all-around athlete. Actually, he's a good baseball player, too.
Absolutely.
And he and his brother David was a better football player maybe defensively than Eddie, but Eddie was very coachable. And he understood the team concept, and he was a money man. If you were 2 behind or 2 ahead and needed a basket, he was at his best.
Yes.
And if the game was out, you know, if it wasn't any factor, but he was a clutch player, and that run we had in '70, he was amazing, especially in the regional tournament to get us where we were in terms of scoring. But we had a good unit other than him as well. We had some kids on there. Billy was the best ball handler I ever coached. Billy Alexander. He could as
fast. Yeah.
As old Millard Griffin used to say, our old scorekeeper and bus driver. He said he can stop on a dime and give you 10 cents change and a half a piece of bubble gum.
Well, one other thing, and I'll leave it all go on that. But Eddie was he and I for some reason kind of hit it off, and I was a kicker really. They signed a lot of people don't know it. They signed me at Western to kick, not to play quarterback. I was too skinny. I weighed 130 pounds when I graduated. But Butch Gilbert came down here, and I could kick. I'm not going to brag on myself, but I could kick straight on toe shot, you know. So anyway, Eddie started calling me Toe. Every time he'd see me, he'd call me Toe. Well, we both got invited to the All-Star game in football down at Bowling Green, and of course that's 1970, I guess, when I graduated.
Football season '70.
Yeah. Well, anyway, back then, you know, it wasn't too many people staying together, and Eddie and I roomed together. And you know, back in that day, that was a different ball game. You know, but I got a picture of him, doggone it. And when he got inducted into your Hall of Fame, I wish I'd have known that, because I was going to bring it over. I had a picture of he and I in the room, and I think Eddie was smoking.
Probably.
But anyway, I wish I'd have known he was inducted. I'd have brought that over there and said a few words about him.
I tell you one thing. Let me add this. I've really had over years, not only as coach, but some of the people at Caldwell, I had some great relationships with. I really had a lot of respect for Sammy Jones. Sammy, I think, was coaching when I got to be head coach. I'm not sure.
Right.
And he was good to me, and I was just a kid. And Sammy and Joe McHill and Harry Bird. I was in Europe visiting my daughter when Harry passed away, and I really hated that, because I had a lot of respect for Harry, and I miss Harry, miss seeing Harry, and when I come to Princeton.
Well, you're right, though, because I remember Sammy, I was a counselor, and when we had all these meetings, or if we'd go to over at your hospitality room, and they always fed us good at the tournament, but Sammy would always pick me, he'd say, come on, we're going over to see Coach Wallace. Yeah. And, he really, really liked you. He was really respected you a lot.
I've had a lot of close ties too with some former Trigg County athletes. Of course, I played at Western with Marty Jaggers and Jimmy Mathis. Jimmy Mathis was an outstanding quarterback there. And when I was younger, I grew up with Bruce Higbee.
Okay.
In Hopkinsville, and of course Bruce is not with us anymore, and he went he and Lydia, my dad sold insurance with Bob, and they moved off and went to Katie's, and of course he was the quarterback on the state championships teams, first one, and so we've got some awful close ties with the Trigg County community, and I got a daughter living over there now, and a son-in-law, and two granddaughters. I got two granddaughters in the school system there. So Trigg County, we're over quite a bit visiting, and it's a good place to raise a family. Princeton and Caldwell, and we've talked about our rivalry of now in football. It's been 64 years, and I think it's one of the cleanest rivalries around. Several years ago, they named this game the 139 Bowl, which I've had people ask me, what's that 139 stand for? I said, well, that's the highway that connects Princeton and Katy.
We call it the Princeton Road. Y'all call it the Katy Road.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
So there's a lot of tradition that y'all have been part of. And, I know, George, you played there at Trigg County, and you still got a lot of close connections here in Princeton.
Right.
And you were here for Dotson days. And
Absolutely.
I think that's where you ran into DT.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a Cerulean boy. That's practically Caldwell County.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Matter of fact, we used to see each other at the old Blue Hole every now and then.
That's exactly right.
Go swimming over there.
Over the rock quarry.
That's right, over the rock quarry.
But yeah, I played against Garnet Scott, Clarence Robinson, and then we became teammates at Murray State, later on. But as I was looking through that book that we were looking at, Todd Griffin's book, I noticed that Alex Willoughby probably was pictured on 12 of those teams there. So something wasn't right about that. I'm going to check his eligibility.
Alex, and now, one of them was a year older than me, Alex, or the other one was, who was the other Willoughby? He had a brother. But anyway, one of them was a year older than me and played too. Yeah, and both of them were up there, weren't they?
Right. Alex was a good athlete back in the day. I remember playing against him. I remember Clarence.
Larry was his brother's name. Larry.
I can remember Clarence Robinson returning a touchdown, returning the kickoff 80 yards for a touchdown in our game my senior year.
Right.
And they ended up beating us 26-0. I didn't feel too good about that, but
I tell you what, we called him Rui. I really don't know why, but he was one of the hardest runners going up the middle of the line as anybody we had.
A key game that I remember that I think it was a key game for our football program was '64, the first time we beat Caldwell County. We'd gone probably 25 years of playing you and I think we tied once maybe, but we'd never beaten Caldwell. But in '64 over at our place, we beat Caldwell 20-14. Won't ever forget that score. And that it seemed to dawn on our kids then, and from then on that yes, if we can beat Caldwell, we can beat most anybody, because y'all had a rich tradition here all the way back through old Butler and Butler High School and Princeton High School, and we had started football in the 30s when we consolidated, so that was kind of a milestone. I see that for our football program. Since then, we've been able to make some. It's been a better rivalry, I put it that way.
Right.
Probably one of your better players to come out of there, Al Baker, running back. Yeah. I was watching TV last night, and his son got to play quite a bit for Western Kentucky University last night against Louisiana Tech. And does he remind you a little bit of Al running the ball? Al was a little bit more powerful, I think. This young man's got a lot of speed, though.
Quentin is a smaller version of Al.
A little more shifty, maybe, than Al.
Boy, he was an outstanding player. And y'all have had a lot of outstanding players over at Trigg County in all sports. Yeah. And, it's just been a good, clean rivalry between, two close-knit counties. And, there's been tragedies in both counties, and everybody kind of reaches out to one another. And we're very fortunate to live in communities such as these.
I agree.
One of the guys that I always heard all about, but I was gone. I was at Western at the time, was Sadler. Now, he said he was a pretty bad man as far as playing football.
Tony Holland.
Yeah.
Tony, I remember Tony.
Animals.
Yeah.
Listen, there were several of those state championship teams that
Benji Glunt.
Yes.
You can go back and I remember in I guess one of the years they won the state, they played a game over in Hoptown because it was raining too bad here, or your field had flooded, and they played in Walnut Street Stadium.
Yeah.
And I went to that game and watched them, and I believe that was the game that there was a plane crash.
yes, Richmond Madison game.
Yes.
In the playoffs, that would have been 72, I think.
72, and it was a real good football game, and you've had some real good players coming out of there. A lot of strong traditions on both counts, both counties.
You trying to say you were still in high school then?
No, I wasn't. Wasn't in high school.
You was young, girl.
Well, I mentioned that this series is 64 years old now. That's about the time you was born, wasn't it?
Just about.
So you
Born
can't-
again.
Yeah, I think it even goes back further than that because of Princeton Butler. I think they played.
Actually, our first football team was 1938, and I think we played every year since then.
Yeah.
So
it's
I was
been,
born a year after that, smart.
well, we're going to finish up here in just a second, but we've talked about what you've been done in the past. What are you doing now? Tell us about. You both look young enough, you can still go back and coach.
We'd like to be playing more golf.
That's exactly
This
right.
guy's still working.
Yeah, I'm still doing a part-time HR job at one of the factories there in Cadiz, and I've got a factory of my own,
I knew that.
GFB, and working with that. But overall, it's a relaxed environment. Basically setting my schedule during the course of the week, but just not being able to play as much golf as I really like. But
And today's a perfect day.
it
too.
is. It is.
Coach Wallace, what about you? Are you
Well,
just totally?
after I retired, I came back and coached a little, coached some middle school girls and boys basketball. That was 04, 05, 06, 07, coached some track. G and I probably had a closer relationship because we did coach track together back in the 70s.
You had some dandy teams, too.
back in the 60s and 70s and 80s. But I did that, but and then I worked part-time. I did some interim work, administrative work, but for the last I'm a heart patient. I have a heart valve, and that's
I am too.
And that's a good excuse to not do anything.
That's
So
right.
I haven't done anything. I just listen real close to my wife and try to keep peace and harmony at home. And
Good
and,
man.
And fish quite a bit. I like to crappie fish especially, and I'm fortunate to have a place on the lake. So I mean,
I don't fish, but I eat them. If you get it.
well, I tell you, numbers have been down lately. I don't know. I
You
haven't-
need to hook up with Harold Knight. That's all I can
Well,
say.
no, yes. Well, Harold and I-
Harold's a good buddy of
Harold's a
mine.
cousin of mine, so we do hook up. But he's more of a hunter than fisherman. Of course, I'm always kidding Harold about all these TV programs they make. You know,
Yeah.
my aunt Mary, who lived to be 98, she used to look at TV and says, "You know, they can do anything with that TV camera. you can even kill things that you maybe not actually kill. You can go places you may not actually have gone." So I'm always kidding Harold about that.
Well, guys, we sure do appreciate y'all coming in this morning, and I didn't think DT and I were talking about it, a few weeks ago, that nothing be more fitting than two icons from the Trigg County community come over. And what we're glad that you stayed in the community. A lot of people move out of the community, once they retire, but you stayed right there, and you've done just outstanding things for them. And you kind of keep this rivalry going. Dennis, would you like to?
I just want to tell you all, when you go home now, make sure you tell some of your friends that, and if they're like me, I don't know much about computers, but tell them they can get on YouTube and rewatch this.
Okay.
There's a camera right there. Smile for it.
You can go to www.wpkyonline.com.
Okay.
And then just click on the Tiger Sports Talk, and you can view this and see how good looking y'all are. You know, y'all clean up
It's on
pretty
every
good.
Saturday morning. You can even get it on that every Saturday morning.
Sure
Or
can.
Friday morning, I'm sorry.
Well, we certainly appreciate the invite, and you're exactly right. Caldwell and Trigg have had a great relationship, educational-wise, athletic-wise, down through time, and I think we've been good neighbors for each other.
We have been helpful to each other. That's great.
And I'd just like to say a shout out to the coaches, Coach Barnes and Coach Lewis, as they hit the field tonight.
Yeah.
And we know it'll be a battle. Anytime they get together, it's going to be a big battle.
You're right.
But I think both of them are class individuals. I think they see the big picture. At schools like Trigg and Caldwell, you're going to have your cycles where you got your good teams, and then you're going to have. But
Trust me, we know.
Yeah,
we went through
we've gone through this as coaches, and we know that anytime that you're not winning, everything is really magnified.
Right.
And usually it's focused on the coach, but it takes a combination to win.
Sure.
A lot of times the coach want to give all the players all the credit and vice versa, but bottom line, it takes a combination. And I think that both of these coaches are putting forth a great effort to produce not only good athletes, but fine young men to.
And from what I hear, you still have an old Princetonian still helping you, don't you? Dixie still over there?
Dixie, yeah.
Dixie Jones
Dixie's
is
been there
Sure
a
is.
long time.
He sure
Good
has,
football
yeah.
coach. And
Yes, sir.
He's retired, and all he does, I think, is coach.
He's a dedicated person.
He really is.
He's dedicated to the kids.
Great person.
I
great
asked
guy.
him, I said, Dixie, you've retired now. He said, I don't have any hobbies. Football coaching is my hobby.
Yeah.
And that's why, and he's done a great job with it. Well, we know it's going to be a good game tonight. Anytime you get Caldwell and Trigg together, throw out the record book, when two rivalries get together, and both teams will be on top of their game. And once again, we appreciate you guys coming in, and we'd like to have you back sometime. So thank you. And now we're going to.
Don't wait too long.
Don't wait too long.
It's a pleasure every time I get to see both of you.
It sure
Thank
is.
you very much.
Really enjoyed it.
We're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be back with Tiger Sports Talk with Gator and DT with some more in-studio guests. You're listening to WPKY 103.3 FM, The Tiger.
Department in Western Kentucky. But did you know that when it's time for a new set of tires, we have you covered for that also? Our tire experts, Jeff Brandon, Garrett Harper, and Kathy Capps, have a combined 84 years of experience, and they are ready to serve you on any make and model vehicle. You'll be surprised at our competitive pricing on name brands such as BF Goodrich, Michelin, Goodyear, Yokohama, Cooper, and Uniroyal. Trice Hughes is also the only tire dealer in town to offer the economy price Kenda brand tire. All tires are road force balanced, providing you with the most comfortable ride possible, and rotations are free as long as you own your tires. Call the tire experts at Trice Hughes today. Quotes are free and the deals are worth the call. Trice Hughes Incorporated, Highway 91 North in Princeton. What does your service appointment at Trice Hughes do? Glad you asked. Here at Trice Hughes, we give a true 27-point inspection with each vehicle service. We change your oil, check fluids in your transmission, coolant system, power steering, washing fluid, and brakes. Then we inspect your tires, wiper blades, brakes, air filter, belts, hoses, drive boots, and exhaust system. Shoo, that's a lot. Keeping your vehicle maintained at Trice Hughes in Princeton is your best chance of a long and happy vehicle life. Call today for your appointment, 270-365-5522, Trice Hughes Incorporated, Highway 91 North in Princeton. Trice Hughes in Princeton wants to remind everyone that we have a full line of genuine GM and Mopar parts and accessories for your car, truck, or SUV. We also offer Retrax bed covers. You have to see to believe how awesome they are. WeatherTech floor mats are a must for folks with little people and moms and dads that want to keep their entire carpet protected. Make your truck or SUV stand out with chrome accessories such as 20-inch wheels and tires, running boards, mirror covers, and door handles. Need a gift idea? Adding remote start will surely please your loved one. Call Shauna today for all your accessory needs. 270-365-5522. Trice Hughes Incorporated, Highway 91 North in Princeton. New car and truck buyers, listen up. It's the time of year that the 16s are rolling out and the 17s are rolling in. At Trice Hughes Incorporated, we offer 7 new American car lines to choose from, awesome trade-in allowances, end-of-the-year model rebates, and great financing options. Some people think they have to go out of town for a great deal. We think shopping in Princeton, Kentucky at Trice Hughes Incorporated might just be the best decision you ever make. Give Trice a try before you buy. And as always, if we don't have what you're looking for on our lot, we'll find it for you. Trice Hughes Incorporated, Highway 91 North in Princeton.
Tiger Sports Talk with Gator and DT at 103.3 FM, The Tiger. We now have our next guest, our in-studio guest. We've got Mr. Drake VanHooser, who's playing for the Murray State Racers, Mr. D. Cain, who's playing for the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. We got Mr. Will Barnes, who used to play here at Caldwell now and played at Kentucky Wesleyan. Had a successful career and went on. Now he's coaching the offensive coordinator at Glasgow High School. So
what's he doing here? He's a has-been.
Well,
yeah, that's right.
He said he had to come home just to listen to our show this morning. I said, well, if you're going to listen, you're going to be on. So anyway, and on the phone we got with us Elijah Sindelar, quarterback at Purdue University. Good morning, Elijah.
Morning. How's everyone doing?
We're doing well, we'll start with you since we got you on the phone here, and tell us how it's going at Purdue University. We know I don't get to see you very often, and someone did say you was here a couple weekends ago. I think y'all had an open date. You were back in Princeton.
It was me. I seen him with his girlfriend.
Oh, you saw him? Yeah. And he said he saw your car over at her house last Friday. He thought.
I can keep an eye on you, Elijah. Don't forget that.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, so things are going pretty well. Wish I was able to come home more often and see everyone, but it's tough being, 5 hours away, especially when you're in football. You hardly get any time off anyway. But, yeah, we did get a bye week about a couple weekends ago. Was able to come home for a couple days. I got to actually watch the high school football team, which was cool, and support them. It was so much different being in the stands than on the field, but it was a fun experience. So that was pretty cool. School's going well. My classes are getting much tougher in my electrical engineering degree, but it's something I really enjoy, so I'm going to put in the effort and keep going. Football is going pretty well. We didn't perform as well as we'd like to last week against Maryland, but right now we're sitting 2-2, and I've gotten to play 2 games so far, which is a lot of fun. I got to play about a full quarter at Maryland, and then, of course, the last half of the quarter against Eastern Kentucky, where we were basically just in a 4-minute offense. But it's been a lot of fun. To tell you the truth, it's so much faster than high school football. But Drake and D will tell you it's nothing like high school. To be honest, high school football is in itself in its own category. But it's definitely something I've been enjoying. So I'm really happy for this opportunity and extremely blessed.
Elijah, we know what you're talking about, even as old as we are. It was a lot faster when we went. Although even we had, back when I played, believe it or not, we had guys that went both ways every now and then. Coach Romeo Cornell is the defensive coordinator for the Texans. He played offensive and defensive tackle when I was a freshman, both ways.
Oh my goodness!
Of course, it changed that much. Now they got 90 people on the sideline, so it's a different ball game. But we're appreciative of you calling us, and hope everything does go well with you. I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm just saying, though, as a former quarterback and a player in college, which back then had probably been a bigger high school where I played, but it's a tough position to go and play, not just quarterback, but any position. When you go as a freshman, everybody thinks, oh, they're so great and you're so great, but then you have about 90 more that come in that are about just like you. And, you have to put your time in. And I'll get off here, but when I was there, when we got lucky enough to go to California and play my junior year, I looked down the line the other day, and there were 7 of them that were walk-ons. And they put their time in and stayed and waited and took their turn. And that's almost what you have to do, whether you're a scholarship player or not.
Exactly right.
Elijah, we want you to stay on the phone with us because you got 2 of your former teammates in studio, and I'm sure they want to talk to you as well and ask you maybe a few questions. And Let's start over here with Drake VanHooser. Drake he's my next door neighbor, number one, but he's playing he's playing football at Murray State University. Murray got their first win last Saturday against Austin Peay, and I think Drake, you got to play quite a bit. Tell us about your experiences.
Yeah, what's up, Elijah? I haven't talked to you in a while.
I know. Hey, man.
Yeah, I just starting from Caldwell County. Some may say I started my career when I was 3. Pat and DT definitely know. I was warming up on the sidelines with the Tigers.
You sure
and that was always fun. I was out there. I was head to toe in all the regular gear. So I just want to thank those two, especially for that, and my grandfather for sure, Coach Hughes for allowing me to do that, and being a Tiger from such a young age. And I mean, a lot of people know I love it. I know this guy and Sindelar both, and all these guys around here definitely love it and still have a passion for it. So just want to thank the people of Princeton for that.
Thank you for the comment. We appreciate that too.
Drake, we know that you changed positions this year, and you've been a defensive lineman all through your high school career, and then going into Murray State, you played defensive end, I believe, and you made a transition this fall to a different position. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've of course, in high school, I always played defense. Coach Barnes let me get on the offensive side of the ball maybe 2 or 3 times, not very often. But
you had too much speed.
Yeah, I was too fast. Everybody couldn't play with me. But yeah, Coach Stewart. One day, it was last spring, and I was still playing defensive line, and we had, I think he may have told y'all, we had some jug machines out there, and we had a little competition or whatever, and I ended up catching a ball, and I guess they just saw, I don't really know what they saw, but they were just like, hey, you want to change positions? We may have a spot for you, and I was like, yeah, whatever I got to do to play, and we call it our racer back. It's our full bag, basically, and, I get 20, 30 snaps a game, get in there and playing special teams too. So it's been a pretty good deal for me. I like it.
That's great.
D. Cain, let's come to you now. Sure. D is playing at Western Kentucky, our alma mater, and he's going through a red shirt year, which both we did too. And it's not very easy. It's tough. Of course, Drake went through it as well, and Elijah, you went through it.
Elijah did too.
I went through too. If you want to know the truth.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it if you can survive that first year. You go from being way up here in high school, and then you're right back down at the bottom. But you got to work your way up. D, we know that you're at Western, and you graduated last December and enrolled early and went through spring practice and all, and we were able to view the game last night, and I'm sure you did as well. You get to dress at the home games, but I don't think you get to travel. Back when we were red-shirted, we couldn't even dress at the home games. We had and couldn't even stand on the sideline. We had to sit in the stands. So tell us a little bit about your experiences at Western.
My experience at Radford right now is going completely amazing. Classes, they're difficult, but if you just try your hardest and stay focused on the right path, you can get through it. Red shirt, like you said, it's just me on the sideline. I just get to thinking like I can be out there, but they do this for a purpose. They red shirt me for a purpose, and yeah, like at high school, you're top of the world. And then when you get to college, you're just like everyone else, and now you're a redshirt freshman, so you're at the bottom of the team. You got to be basically the tackling dummy for the team, but you're making guys better. So my experience at Western is tough right now, but I know it's gonna pay off at the end.
D, when you're redshirted, you went in at Christmas. I don't know how you did it. I don't know why I graduated in May. I turned 18. I wasn't ready in August, and how you did that, I'll never know. But as now that you've already gained on these classes. If I were you, I would go ahead and do as many as you can. I know when I knew I was getting redshirted, I went back to 12 hours, and I had a lot of fun. That's not what you need to do.
You've been in the counseling business for too long.
I needed to be in the counseling. But anyway, you take your classes, and if you get as a scholarship player, you're going to get 5 years and a summer school.
Yes, sir.
You need to get your master's if you can on them.
Yes, sir.
And to do it. Don't do like me. I wasted a lot of time. I did get out and I got my degree and all, but I look back now and think, boy, I wasted a lot of money on my upper level degree when I could have done it on the house.
Yes, sir.
And I believe, Elijah, didn't you do the same? Did you graduate in December a couple years ago?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And has it made your, when you got there, does it make it a little bit easier for you adjusting to the surroundings and the college life?
Yeah, and in my opinion, it was much better. Well, granted, I was coming off ACL surgery, so I was able to be here during my rehab in our facilities, which was really nice. But in the spring, in the off season, football isn't as much as a time demand as it is in the fall, and so coming early allowed you to kind of get the routine down and kind of experience what college is going to be like. And so you're not overwhelmed with coming in right in the fall, or for us it would be summer. All the new kids came in the summer. Then you're doing football for 5 hours a day, and then all of your classes. So it can be very overwhelming. But coming early, where you just have you're lifting for the first couple months, and you have spring ball for a month and a half, it's much easier to manage, in my opinion. So I really enjoyed coming up early. Although I really miss playing baseball, but I wouldn't have been able to play anyway with ACL surgery. So it ended up being an easy decision after what happened against Murray my senior year. But coming early it really helped me, especially because I got to know the guys and start the process of getting accepted by the team and making friends and earning their respect early, so that I could just keep building on it throughout the years.
For any of those young people out there that are listening today, we've been talking about education. Football is only temporary. I don't know what the percentage is of people going on to the NFL, but one thing that, you can get that will last you the rest of your life is your education. And Elijah, tell us what you're majoring in.
My major is in electrical engineering.
Electrical.
Well, how many? You've run us out of questions. How many years will that take you as far as getting your degree? Like, I know a dentist has to go so many and all that. Is it any extra?
It'll probably take me 5, just because of trying to do football and engineering. I can't really take as many hours as I need to. Usually they want you to take about 16 to 17 to finish in 4 years, but that's a little too much. I don't really want to kill myself like that. And since I redshirted, I have my 5th year, and I came a semester early, so I was able to get an extra 13 or 14 hours my first semester to give me a little head start in my degree. So I should still finish in 4, and then I'm going to try and get at least 1 year of my master's done, just because I came early. And of course we get to take 6 to 9 hours every summer, because we have to be here in the summer. We don't get summers off. So it'll only take me 4, but usually it'll take people 5.
That's great. So that means you and I, Gator, wouldn't have got a degree.
No, you're right. I got out in 4. Believe it or not.
Well, yeah, you did. They booted you out.
PE and health majors, could get out in 4 if you go. I went there every summer, though. Drake, what are you studying?
I'm doing occupational safety and health, and I'm sure Purdue and Western as well. They're my coaches, and we have a academic staff above our stadium that help us with all of our academics. If you need a tutor, you can get a tutor. If you need help in a class, you can get help in a class. You can schedule a meeting with your academic advisor anytime. So they've been real great about that. And I'm sure,
Absolutely.
like I said, that other teams are like that as well. To be honest, that's what you go to school for, to get a degree. And so, Murray's been great with me for that.
D, what about you?
I'm majoring in elementary education. And, like Drake said, Murray and Purdue both probably have this. They have advisors. If you need one, they can come that specific day on whatever time you say. So my major used to take 5 years, but since what I did, what Elijah did is came early and also get summer classes, so I'll probably be done in 4 years also.
That's great.
Do you have aspirations of becoming a coach someday?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I do.
When you mentioned education,
Yeah.
I don't know if Drake and Elijah, if y'all have any aspirations of coaching any time, but, that always – you're always going to be connected with the game that way. And our next guest here in studio is Will Barnes, and he, his education has taken him into coaching just like his dad. And, Will, we want to welcome you to the show and being in your own fall break this week. And you're the offensive coordinator at Glasgow High School, and y'all have had an outstanding season so far. Tell us a little bit about your team.
First off, I appreciate you guys having me on. I listen about every week at school, so it's good to be here.
You're getting our ratings up.
Thank you. I wanted to say something to Sindelar before I talk about Glasgow.
Okay.
Sindelar, you doing all right?
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Good to hear from you, Will.
You need to keep those feet hot in the pocket, all right?
They're too big to be hot.
But at Glasgow, we're 5-1. We haven't played quite the schedule that Caldwell's played, but we got a lot of seniors coming back off last year's team. We're scoring some points and playing pretty good defense. We've won a district game. I don't really look at the polls, but we're in the top 10 in 2A. We got 3 tough games here to finish the year out, 2 district games, and then play Elizabethtown. Then we'll get in the playoffs.
Okay. Dee, I was going to ask you earlier, how difficult was it to watch the game last night with Western and Louisiana Tech when Western gives up 52 points?
It was difficult, and I know I'm going to hear a mouthful when I get back to Coach Ho at Western, but I know we could play a lot better than that. Like the fourth quarter, we put up 21 points in just only the fourth quarter, and our defense didn't step up. We have 2 graduate students from Louisville, and we have some JUCO guys that's pretty good, and one of our main linebackers, T.J. McCullough, he's out right now, but it just surprised me that we allowed 55 points, and so I know this week is going to be crazy. We're going to play major defense. We're going to be in meetings all the time, so I'm just kind of shocked that we really gave up 55 points. We're the one giving up 55 points, and they're getting like 14 points. So, it's kind of like Caldwell and Western, kind of like the same thing. Good defense, put up points. Good defense, put up points. So, yeah.
That's the way it goes, though. It's like a golf game. You never know from day to day. Some days it's great, some days it's not. You get the bounces, you don't get the bounces. But one other thing I want to say before we have to quit about you guys, the good thing about not football, but athletes, if they go into education, you're going to get a quality individual for a teacher. That's what I've always found. I'll tell you what, we've coached a lot of kids, and a lot of them have gone into education, and all you hear is good things about people. Teaching and coaching, it goes hand in hand.
It do. Will, tell us a little bit about how does it feel to be coached by your dad? Not, unless you have a son. I know DT did, and now that you're kind of following his footsteps, and tell us a little bit about y'all's relationship.
Well, I've always looked up to him, and that's why I'm teaching. He taught biology when he was in the classroom, and he's been a coach for a long time. So I teach biology, and I'm doing the same thing he was doing, and that's all I've ever known is I've been at practice. I've watched film and all that. But as far as playing for him, a lot of people think it would be a bad thing. You go home and he's wearing you out at the dinner table. But I can only think of one time that happened. So we had a really good relationship. We would watch film at home, talk about stuff at home. But, for the most part, it stayed out at school and, in the practice field. So it was, playing-wise, the best 4 years, 3 years, especially here at Caldwell, that I've had. A lot of good memories. I still, we still, right when I got done at Westland, and it just didn't work out like the timing wasn't great. I guess that's the best way to say it.
If people out there don't know Rush is one of the, all-time winningest high school coaches in Georgia, and they play for state championships, every year just about. Yeah. And it. And he was real good friends with, or still is good friends with Tony Franklin. And,
yeah, he is.
And I worked camps with him back in the day.
They started 0-4 this year, so I don't, may have been a good thing.
You had to look and see who they played. We started 0-3 too.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's not how you start; it's how you finish. Yeah. And we've been fortunate. We've won 4 in a row now, and we're looking for number 5 tonight, and keep building momentum heading into the playoffs.
I just want to say one thing before we have to quit. Purdue, Murray State, Western Kentucky, and Glasgow is a much better place because of the people that we sent them. And we thank you guys for going with there. You're going to make those people a lot better when you hang in there.
Well, you make this community a lot better, you know, and you've got kids out there looking up to you, the younger kids that are in the Little League, and just like Drake and Dee did, and Elijah and Will. You know, they probably had their idols back in, you know, somebody on the high school team that they idoled, and you know, and knowing that you have an opportunity to further your education through football is just outstanding.
Yeah, and going back with the community, like you were just saying, I just want to say thanks to, especially to all my former coaches. I'm sure Elijah and Dee would say the same thing. You know, I get texts all the time from former coaches, just people in the community. I just want to publicly say thank you to all of them for support for all these years. It's been great. It's really had.
Yeah, I want to thank the Tiger community because this is one of the best communities I've been close to, been around to, and it's a family. It's not just a town; it's a family. So I just want to thank y'all again. I want to thank all the coaches, and I want to thank Drake's dad too, because he was one of my coaches. But we ain't gonna get on that.
I wouldn't have told that.
You can tell him, Dee, if you want to, that I taught you most everything you knew on my bus for a couple of years.
I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, I know Ben really appreciates that, but you know, y'all have been instrumental, all four of you. And Elijah, before I leave, how's your parents doing? I know they've moved off from the community now, and your dad's kind of gone through some issues like I have. And how are they doing now?
Yeah, they're doing great. We actually now I have a nephew now. My sister had a baby.
That's right.
Don't know if everyone knew that, but so he's doing really well, and my parents are now grandparents, which is definitely a new experience for them, but they're enjoying that, probably to the point of over-spoiling. But, you know, it kind of makes me jealous, to be honest with you. Like, you're kind of replacing me now. I used to be the only boy, and now I'm like, you know, old news. But, no, I'm just kidding. But they're doing great. They live in Valparaiso, which is about an hour north of me, and they're able to come to almost every game, which is really nice. And lastly, real quick, I'd like to thank the community also. Just to know that the support that we have back home, and Drake will be with him tell you this too, but the support system that we have is instrumental to our success. We really rely on it, and just knowing that we have that support system back home really keeps us going and allows us to, you know, continue the race. Like, we just keep going, we just keep grinding, and it really helps us. So we really, really appreciate what you've done for us and being there for us throughout high school and as we've gone on to college and other sports, or not other sports, but higher sports.
Well, Elijah, we appreciate you calling in, and we want to wish you the best of luck tomorrow against Illinois. You're traveling to Champaign, I believe, to take on the alumni, or what they call it? Illini. Not the alumni, Illini. And we want to wish you the best of luck. And Drake and Dee, I know you two guys, Drake, you're open this week, so you had a little fall break, and you're going to get to spend it here and come out to the night's game. And Dee, are y'all on fall break as well?
Yes, sir, we are.
You're on fall break, and I know Will's on it as well. Before we end here,
we're on fall break too.
We're on fall break every day.
That's right.
Before we end here, I want to encourage everyone to come out. It is the last regular season home game at Tiger Stadium tonight. I believe Coach Barnes told me that the senior recognition will begin around 7 p.m. So come on out early and be in attendance to help send these seniors off. I think not just the football team, but there's other sports that will be recognized. And I think I heard last night the boys and girls soccer had their senior night, and the fall sports is winding down here. And you know, here it is, October the 7th, and you know, time is flying by.
I just like to say one thing too. Gator and I weren't lucky enough to coach any of you all, but we feel like we did because we got to see you all the time, and we appreciate you, man. You helped Caldwell County out a bunch.
We coached you under our breath, you know, up in the stands.
You might not have wanted either one of us, that's for sure.
Hey, we were able to watch you play, and we really enjoyed watching all you guys play. And, you know, you've made your special mark on Princeton and Caldwell County, and we want to, you know, encourage you to keep up the good luck or good work. And we want to wish you the best of good luck in the coming weeks. And always keep that head held up high and never forget where you come from. You know, and I think that's evident by you being here today in Princeton, and people here love you. So once again, I want to thank all my guests, all of our guests this morning. We had Coach Wallace and Coach Radford from Trigg County High School, and we've had Elijah Sindelar and Drake VanHooser and D. Cain and Will Barnes here with us, and Will's dad is sitting out in the lobby waiting on him. So we're going to sign off from here, and we want you to tune in next week at the same time, 8 a.m. for Tiger Sports Talk with Gator and DT.
Jordan, are we off? Hang on, I want to give a shout out to my son Wes, who made it through the storm last night in Orlando. He and Austin. I told him I'd check on them there, and so I think you all made it. I hope so. Hey, Austin.
Well, hey, we want to.
They were watching today. Is the reason I did that.
We want our prayers and concerns are for all those people in Florida and South Carolina and Georgia. This terrible hurricane that's coming through, and we want everyone to have safe travels, and hopefully they'll not get hit as hard as they anticipate. But once again, we're going to sign off, and thank you for listening and viewing today. Tune in next Friday morning at 8 a.m. for Tiger Sports Talk with Gator and DT.